Okay, John, welcome back from California.
Thank
I
you.
guess you've had, what, 1 hour sleep?
Barely 1 hour, yes.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more on the plane, but yeah, not much sleep.
Yeah, it's a red eye, isn't it? So,
Mhm.
okay, so we were just talking about just selecting a theme, and we agreed on what role does maybe conversation play in leadership, or what role is leadership in, what role does conversation play? No, so not conversation, listening.
Listening. Yep.
I'm the sleepy one. Right. What
Sure.
what role does listening play in leadership? Shall we say? Yeah, that's the question we want. What's the relation between listening and leadership? I've already got a few thoughts on that. But do you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. So yes, no excuses, but just waking up and let's just see what fires up for me. Um, I guess it's fair or unfair, but if we're gonna look at listening and leadership, I guess we have to sort of break down or look at what do we mean by leadership? What do we mean by listening? It's probably worth some of the exploration, but let's just make a bunch of assumptions and just sort of assume for a minute we're thinking the same things. We're all anybody listening, or you and I even are thinking pretty similar. What we mean by leadership, what we mean by listening, and for sure, I think it's Stephen Covey that gets credit, but that quote
Yeah,
that says, "Listen to understand as opposed to listen to
to
respond."
respond. Yeah,
That kind of
that's the Covey
quote.
one. Yeah,
Yeah, that
it's a
one,
big
that
one.
one sticks with me for a long time because the way that, people have asked this question recently, a lot of me, how does that manifest? I appreciate, you and I both love that quote about, I only want to be part of conversations where everyone's willing to emerge a different person.
Yeah, that's
Both of those quotes
Theodore
come
Zardin. Yep,
come together for me to say something about the pace of the conversation. If there's interruptions, if they're speaking over someone, if there isn't a little 1 or 2, 3 second pause, and like to me, I've been part of large groups the past couple of days, well, medium to large groups. Um, I noticed very little pause, right? There's so many people involved that like there's just a lot of jumping in, and I'm not sure how much listening was happening. Although I was also impressed that people were jumping in very fast and yet seemed to be building on the comment right before
that's
that
good.
that just ended. So at least there was some building. So, it seemed like listening. But anyway, my main point for right now, just to open us, is I noticed that. I noticed the amount of pause between comments. And to me, there's something physiological, biological, even if we bring in knowledge management, there's even something tacit and explicit going on. If I can hear your question, pause, think, reflect for a second, now offer, and then see.
Those pauses are really important. I had It wasn't a conversation. I had a catch-up meeting with somebody the other day, and he talked and he talked and he talked, and he didn't pause, and he talked and he talked. And even when I tried to say something, I had to talk over him. And
Mm.
even then, he just raised the volume and talked. And it wasn't a conversation. In fact, it was so painful. I vowed, if he's not watching this, I vowed never to talk to him again.
Wow. Okay.
um, again, well, again, we're talking about the quality of conversations here, really, is that, and this is part of leadership. This is where it comes down to leadership, is that you need to allow other people to come into the conversation. You want those different perspectives. You want to listen. You want to listen to them. You want to hear them. In fact, you want everybody to listen to them. You want everybody to hear them. This is the richness of the conversation. And the more I think about it, is in some ways listening is at the heart of leadership. It's certainly, to my mind, at the heart of conversational leadership is that ability to listen. You're just talking about Barissa being um, frustrated with dominant people, shall we say, just dominating the conversation. And of course, so often it's the managers or the so-called leaders that do that dominating traditionally. And I'm not too sure how we change that. It's not the culture; it's individuals that excel at that particular habit.
There must be some kind of pacing because I imagine there's a way to dominate a conversation and also be listening. I mean, you're listening to yourself a little bit, but there's something about like, if we're in a 20-minute conversation and I speak for 18 minutes, maybe I didn't do a lot of listening, but maybe it really did take me 18 minutes to, talk to offer my whole perspective. And then I listened for the last two to something else. It's, maybe part of what we're talking about is what is the balance of listening to speaking. And we have to bring in Dr. Shaw's quote of if on the leadership side, if one way of looking at leadership is convening conversations that otherwise wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
I think that only
And the key
reiterates your
word there
point.
is convening.
Yeah.
It's not dominating, it's convening. It's being the container, being the host of the conversation. And that's what it's not just because just remind people listening in that conversational leadership is in the context of conversational leadership is a practice. It sees leadership as a practice. So it means that everybody can practice conversational leadership. Everyone can practice leadership. So this isn't just about the boss or the nominated leader. It's everybody. It's everyone convening, isn't it? It's everybody recognizing. What am I trying to say? Is understanding what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring in everybody's voice
Yeah.
to the conversation. And that's not just the responsibility of maybe the person who called the meeting. It's the responsibility of everybody in the room.
So maybe there's this if part of what we're doing with conversations is getting voices in the room and shared understanding is the leap I'm going to
Yes,
make.
yes, yes. Yeah.
How can you get shared understanding without listening? That would seem pretty impossible if you can force or fake shared understanding if one or two people, there's five people in the conversation and one or two are guiding, dominating, choosing, and saying this is our shared understanding. But there's three people who
Yeah.
are not, part of the shared, have not contributed or have not had a moment or have not taken the responsibility like you talk about to
Or
offer their
at least having
perspective.
the opportunity, because
And
there's
that
no
too.
harm
Yeah.
saying, John, you're rather quiet today. Do you have something to add? And they say, no, I'm fine, and that's okay.
Mhm. And then
Um,
yeah, then okay, that's part of the shared understanding is nope, good, nothing to add. Okay,
yeah.
part
Um,
of it.
no, it's
No,
just reminded me of something else, which is maybe just a little bit off center, and that's Nancy Klein, who wrote the book Time to Think.
yeah,
And I've got a lovely little video clip of her being interviewed. And can I remember exactly what she says? She says that when you listen to somebody, really intently listen to them so they know that they've got your full attention and you're really listening, that it's a creative act. That what it does, it draws them out. If they're trying to articulate a new idea, that they haven't really articulated before. They're having problem articulating it. The very fact that you are listening and you're attentive, it actually helps them articulate that idea, to put that idea together in a way that you can understand. And that seems to me to be very rare in organizations.
yeah.
Um, Often
Very,
when you have a good idea, other people are only too pleased to put you down.
rare in organizations and rare beyond organizations. Um, the words I would throw out are active listening and deep listening.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think we all know the active listening stuff, saying the yes and the and nodding your head and mirroring back or repeating the last few words or that kind of active listening to show that I heard your words and I'm trying to understand them, that kind of thing. Sure, I think that's important and has its place, and sometimes it's not useful or helpful. I guess I'm more interested, or I don't know, reminding myself of the deep listening, the listening to your words and so many other levels. The obvious ones, the words you say, the context that you're saying them in, something bigger than you. Um, Obviously, your body language, your inflections,
Yes. Yeah.
that type of listening.
All of
I'm
that.
still going to, and this is the stuff that I get a little bit excited about in conversational leadership, the conversational process, or your the process of do I see you thinking and struggling with the words? Do I see you
Yes.
regurgitating
Yeah.
something that you must have said this 100 times before? Do you know? And like, what is going on for you? That level of listening. And of course, a lot of that is I'm going to have to check with you because here's what I interpreted, here's what I sensed, here's what I thought. Is this, did I listen or did I hear correctly?
Yeah. And a lot of this it's actually about thinking together. A good conversation, you're actually thinking together.
Mm,
It's co-creative. I'm
mm,
going to show my age here, but years and years ago, when before PCs, going back
mm,
to mini computers, I was working for Prime Computer, and we were having some sort of ideation session, and I think we had a very early word processor that was under development, and I suggested adding a spell checker. I was ridiculed. I was laughed at. Oh, David, do you want Merriam-Webster or do you want Oxford Dictionary or Cambridge? I was just laughed at, and I I just went quiet and I went away and I wrote a spell checker that I never showed to anybody. I just demonstrated that it could be done. And I look back on that and think, well, it'd have been very different if people had said to me, well, that's interesting, David. That seems a bit of a challenge. How do you think you might do that? You want people to come back with questions, not to put you down. Even when if someone's got a ridiculous idea or what seems like a ridiculous idea, you don't want to jump right in and say, well, that's a stupid idea. You want to jump in and start to ask questions because maybe there's something that you're missing or something that they're missing, or there's something off to the side that's completely different that will emerge if you have that conversation. You never really want to kill a conversation. Occasionally, maybe,
mhm.
but in general, not. So again, we're talking about leadership. A good leader is going to really encourage and model all the things that we've just said. I'm talking now about a traditional leader, but in reality, in our context, everybody
Everyone, yeah.
needs to model it.
And I'm thinking comfort with silence as you say all of that. I'm thinking again, just my recent experience this week, but I think it's true much broader than just this week is um, there seems to be some kind of human nature almost, or just built-in ability or desire to immediately jump in as
Well, they
soon as
say
someone,
nature abhors a vacuum. So it abhors
yeah,
human
yeah.
beings abhor silence.
And I think there's this cultural thing, I don't know how far and wide it goes, of like silence is awkward, or they literally call it, right, the awkward silence, the pregnant pause, that kind of thing. And I'm thinking, for me, that's part of the listening. That's part of the let's see what happens. And to your point, what happens after? Back to the conversational process, conversational dynamics. Do you give an idea and then I give an idea? Or do you give an idea and then I give a question? And if we go that route, is my question, like you're saying, a killing question? Don't like the idea, stop it. I've got a better idea. I've got something, look at it this
Yeah,
other way.
yeah.
Or is it an encouraging question? And to me, this is a big part of conversational leadership. I think it often happens out of awareness. I think people just go with what they thought and felt in the second. Without that, I don't want to
There's
call
not
it
the
filter.
awareness. No, no,
Yeah,
no.
there's not a check, there's not a
They just
realization
react.
of
There's no check. It's autopilot.
what other
Again,
options
again,
did
it
I
comes
have?
back to Covey about the gap between the stimulus and response.
Mhm.
And that's
Power in the space. Yeah.
true for so much in life. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, I've said this before. A lot of facilitators, and I know you do a lot more facilitation than I do, um, seem to dislike silence. So, the number of workshops I've been involved in the past where the facilitator asks a question and nobody answers, there's a lot of silence. And then they fill the gap by talking, 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 talking. And so there's no conversation. There's just the facilitator talking. And it was, that was so marked with me that when I started to run my cafes, and I still do, when it comes to the circle, the large group conversation, I always say, no, so who would like to continue the conversation? Who would like to speak next? And invariably, maybe very rarely, I do it, but most of the time, I will wait for as long as it takes, however uncomfortable I feel or the group feels, for somebody else other than me to actually um, open that conversation.
Which I think you and I both try to do at the end of a knowledge cafe when we're in that big circle at the end.
That's it. Yeah.
Sure, we start the conversation and give a little context, but I think you and I both, if we're on Zoom, literally go on mute, or if we're in the room, literally sort of sit back in the chair and say, so that people are not looking at us to sort of
Yeah.
say
That's it.
yes or
Yeah.
good or thank
Yeah.
you or no, like it is a
You
group
you know what
conversation.
I just remember what I used to do because I don't do so many face-to-face cafes these days. Um, Often when people kept directing questions at me, I would turn and look out the window, or if there was a pillar in the room, I'd kind of move so I was hiding behind the pillar. I would do my
Nice.
best to, without saying it directly, to dissuade them from directing everything at me.
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah, leadership and listening. So it's at the heart of it, isn't it?
Yeah, there's definitely a piece of leadership that's listening. I'm still in my mind thinking about the comfort with silence. Oh yeah, here's the thought I was thinking a second ago, and I don't know if it flows anymore. Is uh one of the we do these C groups, these conversation groups and
Uh-huh.
conversation leadership, which are very similar to T groups, but different. And I remember my second T group ever. There's quite a bit of silence in T groups. Every group is different, but anyway, the facilitator one time said, after a long pause, it was probably minutes, maybe longer than that, she said, "This silence sounds different." And that has stuck with me. Like that's almost one of my go-to facilitation techniques. I think that was the flow with what you were talking about facilitating and the group circle and hiding behind the pillar or something. I don't know that I ever use it in a knowledge cafe, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, what does this silence sound like?
I would say that you can have silences. I wouldn't put it quite those words. I would say there are silences that feel different, i.e., people in the room through their body language are either relaxed or maybe they're tense. And there's probably a range of emotions that people express through their body language during the silence that you can feel, hear even.
Yep, yep, that's part of it. Good.
The
So then,
older I get, the more I appreciate being human, and
mm,
because it's an amazing experience. We are extremely lucky to experience it for whatever it is it three score years and 10? Hey, is
complexities.
it three score years and 10? If so, I'm doing well. I'm well past my
Yeah, you
sampling.
did it. Yeah, I'll root to just make it that far. Um, yeah, listening.
Okay, shall we stop there, John?
That sounds good. We'll pause
Okay,
there.
that was good because it's been a few weeks since the last I'm going to say cafe, the last podcast. So
And if we do it next week, maybe I'll, have had more than an hour of sleep.
okay, well that'll be good. So let me do what I need to do.